everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from steaming hot Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, we're going to be talking about talking to believers.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I accidentally stumbled into a thing. I'm going to relay my experiences. We'll see.
Oh boy. Well, I'm excited to hear.
It's been a whole deal. It was a Facebook thing. Anyway, we'll get to it. It's fun.
All right. I'm curious. And then before we get to that, Dan.
Yeah.
This is delightful. It's something I wish we all could do on some certain level. The Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, the officials at the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation have ousted the local Christian mission and missionaries. And rightly so, I would say. This is the Oglala Sioux tribe. And
do you know where that is?
It's in North Dakota, I believe.
Okay.
The Jesus is King missionary, I guess is the name of the group. They've been distributing a pamphlet around, and this is what got them in trouble. The cover of which says, and there's a lot of punctuation here, and I kind of have to say it because it doesn't make sense just reading it because it's just a string of words otherwise. It says,
wait, this is the title of the pamphlet?
This is the title of the pamphlet.
Okay.
It's Jesus, parentheses, Hebrew, semicolon, not quote unquote white, parentheses, comma, true God, colon, greater than Tunkasila, comma, demon idol.
Oh my God. Wait a minute.
So what they're saying is Jesus, he's Hebrew, not white. He's also the true God. And he's also greater than your creator God, who is a demon idol. That's what they're saying.
Shit. They're literally like their opening gambit is fuck your God.
Fuck your God.
Damn.
Fuck your creator. And the cover says a lot of things. Of course, it has a Christian cross on it. It says not about race, but truth.
Yeah, because now wait a minute. I'm sorry. I got to go back to this title.
Okay.
Because did you or did you not say that the word white was in quotation marks?
Yeah, because clearly, clearly something that they've been accused of is get the fuck out of here with your white God. Right.
Right. And they're like,
They're like, no, he's Hebrew. We believe
Middle
in a brown
Eastern
God.
ding dongs.
Now, I will say this. There is a warning on the cover of the pamphlet.
Oh my.
Which it feels like they're kind of like trying in the spirit of a good trigger warning here. It probably should have been above the title. But it says, warning, truth reveals evil hearts. Please suppress any hatred or violence you may feel, ... Be kind.
Oh my God. Wow.
These
That's
poor
impressive.
persecuted Christians.
That is genuinely impressive to me. Your God sucks. Our God's better. Now, don't be a dick about this.
Yeah. And then it has a couple, it says a couple more things on it. And then down at the bottom, it says, learn why Jesus is the one true God of Native Americans.
I guess what? Jesus isn't God.
Well, I mean, he's part of the Trinity, according to these people, probably.
Trinitarianism isn't even in the Bible.
No.
I'm shocked.
But that doesn't change how they believe.
Well, but they do believe that. Oh, okay, fine. Jesus is a God. Divinity of Jesus. That's fine. You can have whatever belief you want.
It's all bullshit. It's what they believe, right?
Yeah.
The leaders of the reservation, they issued a statement, and in it they say the ability to practice the faith of our choosing, voice our concerns, and address our problems is based on one underlying principle: respect. While the president and the council adhere to the Oglala Lakota Constitution's Bill of Rights, the president and council also have an obligation to ensure that the colonizing principles of the past are not asserted against the Lakota people again.
Yeah.
And with that, they're asking this group to please leave. It's a little more complicated. Apparently, their mission center or whatever is sitting on property that they do own the deed. They do hold the deed to, but they might just have to stay there.
So they have a mission, like they have a church within the tribal
reservation
land?
somewhere, or maybe immediately adjacent, or I don't know how.
Wow.
I don't know how their specific reservation is set up and all of that. But yeah, they're there, and their focus is the Lakota people, and they're sitting there, and they cannot imagine why they're being
Discriminated against.
Yeah. when they come in just guns a-blazing against the culture and history and traditions of this people who very rightly are concerned about the white outsiders.
Now, Frank,
What?
the bottom of their own pamphlet says, hey, you don't get to persecute us about this. And yet they're getting persecuted. It says it right on the bottom of the pamphlet, Frank.
I mean, I know. Oh.
Imagine how big a dick you have to be to think that it is okay to plop yourself down in somebody else's territory
Mm-hmm.
and then just start printing up literature about how shitty their religion is and how they need to join your religion.
That's missionary work.
That is some strong.
That is literally missionary work. That is the whole point.
But buying the land, like owning like if you're just traveling around distributing hate speech, like they do, that's one thing. But buying the land, having a building, it feels stronger.
I know. It's at least
potent.
they bought the land, I guess. They didn't just take it.
I hope they overpaid. Oh my God, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna let's stick with the asshole theme and go to Arkansas. Now, we've talked about Arkansas State Senator Jason Rapert before. This is the dickhead that put up the 10 Commandments in front of the state capitol. And there was a whole kerfuffle about that. There's a new thing that's happening. Rapert, who was an avid Christian as a lawmaker,
Okay.
obviously because he put up the 10 Commandments.
Mm-hmm.
He started blocking. There was pushback from atheists on his social media, etc., and he started blocking them.
Oh.
Well, it turns out that if you are a government official and you have, you have that kind of, you have accounts, you have social media, you don't get to block the people that you are meant to be serving. You have to just sort of take it.
Not okay, right. Like
If you're
they
being
can't-
abused,
exactly.
that's one thing.
I was that's where I was going to come in and yes. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. And that's
Yeah.
a good thing. Okay.
Yeah. You literally have to engage with your constituents. That's your job.
Mm-hmm.
And so the American atheists, along with some of the people that were specifically singled out, are suing Rapert.
Okay.
Now, there's a delightful little twist to this, which is that Rapert gave up his seat to run for, I think, lieutenant governor.
Okay.
And then lost that race in the primary with 15% of the votes. So not a good showing,
Yeah.
Brother
Jeez.
Jason. Anyway, he is still being sued. Like this, even though he will no longer be a state senator. He is still being sued.
Well, he did it. Yeah, he should face the consequences.
And literally, American atheists, as part of the discovery for this lawsuit, requested or subpoenaed a whole lot of documents, including any time in his social media that he has used phrases like atheist or Project Blitz, which we've talked about as the Christian playbook for how they're going to take over the country and turn it into a theocracy.
Right.
Christian nation. There's a whole bunch of keywords and phrases that they're demanding that he produce as part of the discovery. And he was objecting to that and saying that that this is, and on his social media, he has been like, this is a ridiculous lawsuit and I have every right to block whoever I want. This was my personal account, not my official account. Not that he had made any distinction between those in any other time or any other place.
Right. Okay.
And the judge agreed that no, you've never made a distinction. So this is your official account. And the judge has now agreed that he has to turn over all of the discovery documents. So we may hear more later about what this douchebag was doing while he was meant to be serving all the people of his constituency, including even those evil atheists that that kept pointing out his hypocrisies and the way he didn't like the United States Constitution and et cetera, et cetera.
Oh my God.
So a victory in the path along the way.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Dan,
Mm-hmm.
have you heard of the Respect for Marriage Act?
Yes.
Oh my God. Can you believe it passed the House?
Yes.
With
I can believe that
47 Republican votes?
Oh, I didn't. Yeah. How many voted against it? First, say what it is.
Okay, so the Respect for Marriage Act, if it passes the Senate now at this point, will protect same-sex and interracial marriages on the federal level. This is in response, of course, to the Supreme Court striking down Roe v. Wade.
Right. And it's in response to the fact that the Supreme Court's going to try and take us back into the Middle Ages.
And the fact that Clarence Thomas, in his opinion, concurring opinion or whatever they call it, that he says that the court should also reconsider a whole bunch of other rights, including the right to gay marriage. Funny enough, he didn't question interracial marriage. He's in
wonder why he wasn't
marriage.
excited about overturning that one.
Even though, from my understanding, it's based on the same legal principle.
Yeah.
That Roe v. Wade was, but nonetheless, it clearly that one is okay.
Well, and the same principle that the gay marriage thing.
Yeah.
Obergefell is literally identical almost to Loving v. Virginia, but okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Have fun.
So, without getting into all of the fundamentals of how the Respect for Marriage Act would work, it does require states to honor marriages conducted in another state, right? That's one of the things that it's requiring. So it's not saying, hey, let's say Obergefell got overturned by the Supreme Court at some point in the future. It's not saying, oh, every state, you have to do marriage exactly this way that we're commanding you to. It's just saying, if it's performed in another state, you, state B, have to respect state A's marriage. And on the federal level, for the purpose of taxes and whatever purpose at the federal level, the federal government recognizes these marriages.
Right.
Because they were performed in at least, or legal in at least one state.
Right.
And so...
Damn, California ruining it for everybody.
So a group of 83 conservative organizations has sent a letter to Mitch McConnell, and they're just digging up all of the old arguments against why anybody would want to legalize same-sex marriage, which is legal.
Right.
Already legal, everybody. But why would you want to legalize it? Because it's going to legalize polygamy too, and incest. I mean, it's just they have nothing, so they always go to this one.
Wait. What about marriage to an animal? What about that?
Let's see. This is what it says. It says
It's a slippery slope, Frank.
The Respect for Marriage Act would require federal recognition of any one state's definition of marriage without any parameters whatsoever. This would include plural marriages, time-bound marriages, open marriages, marriages involving a minor or relative, platonic marriages, or any other new marriage definition that a state chooses to adopt, including through undemocratic imposition by a state Supreme Court. Isn't that choice?
I would love to hear what they think the danger of platonic marriage would be. I would kill to have them delineate for me exactly what the terrifying prospect of platonic marriage presents. It sounds terrifying.
It sounds awful. It sounds a little too much like plutonic, maybe, or they might explode on you, Dan.
Oh my gosh.
It's
just
pretty
astounding.
pretty fucking amazing.
I mean, literally, for like, okay, I agree that I don't think that any state should recognize marriage with a minor. But you know what? Those people are objecting to, they're all from states. All those people objecting are from states where marriage to a minor is legal. That's your states, you dicks.
It's true. But anyway, yeah, the bill has moved on to the Senate, where it is awaiting vote. It's obviously in the way that the U.S. Senate is constituted at the moment, they need to pick up 10 Republican votes. And so I'm just going to put a little, this is important, folks. And this is all based on the fact that 71% of Americans nationwide support the right to same-sex marriage. And another poll found that 55% of Republicans are in favor of marriage equality.
Yeah,
so
even the majority of Republicans.
And so I have a map pulled up, and I'm leading to something here. There are only, let's see, 3 states where the majority of people do not support gay marriage. And those states, not surprisingly, are Arkansas, Mississippi, and Alabama, right? The rest of the country, at least by even a narrow margin, a majority of the people support gay marriage. And so
we should
Texas,
be able to drum we're talking up, Utah.
Absolutely. So we
like
should be able
Kentucky,
to drum up,
for God's sake.
Yeah, we should be able to drum up enough votes for this. So if wherever you live in this country, right, most likely, except for those 6 senators who don't have this pressure, there is a majority of people in your state who support it. And I think people need to be calling their senators right now. And the ones that have indicated that they might vote for it are Tom Tillis of North Carolina, Lisa Murkowski in Alaska, Ron Johnson in Wisconsin. All Republicans who say that they'll likely vote for it. Please call them if they're your senator and encourage them to follow through with that. If you're here in Utah, please call Senator Romney, because it's very possible that he could vote for it. And
Mike Lee's a lost cause. Don't worry about him.
Yeah, there's no getting Mike Lee, but call Senator Romney and call Mitch McConnell, because if you're in Kentucky, because you're in a state where the majority of people support this, and by God, Mitch McConnell should get on board. I don't know if he will. He'll only play the politics,
man.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, this is an important one. It obviously hits close to home for me, but please.
It's very important, and it's obvious and stupid.
Yeah,
it shouldn't even be a question.
And,
So say that to your senators.
and
All right.
to be honest, we need some good political wins right now. So
Yeah.
so let's get this.
While we have a majority, it should be easy. It ain't. Okay. Listen, the Pope has been in Canada for a minute. He's doing a whirlwind tour while he apologizes for, his church murdering a bunch of babies and shit.
Just doing what the Catholic Church does.
Yeah, just killing children like they do. Anyway, I'm going to focus on one portion of his whistle stop tour, and that is in Quebec. He stopped in Quebec City specifically. And Quebec is traditionally the Catholicism hotspot of Canada.
Oh yeah.
It's the Francophone, the French speaking part of Canada. And literally as recently as like the middle of the 1900s, like in the 50s, the 1950s, it was 90% regular church attendance Catholic.
Jesus Christ.
Like it was like these were Catholics.
Wow.
Awful. We're talking the same as you might as well be in Southern Europe at the same time. Anyway, things have flipped a little bit in Quebec. Since then, since the 1950s, early part of the 20th century, it has gone exactly the opposite. It is now 10% who attend mass regularly. Fewer
Makes
than
sense.
that.
Yeah.
Of the 6.8 million French speakers in that province. So things are not going great for the Catholic Church in Canada. Even the Francophones are turning their backs on the church. And I wanted to, so I like that. I wanted to highlight that. But I also wanted to point out that there was one little nugget of what Francis said when he was there. He gave a homily at the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Quebec City. He said something that I think was a little bit weird. See if you catch it. He said, quote, "God does not want us to be slaves, but sons and daughters. He does not want to make decisions for us or oppress us with a sacral power, exercised in a world governed by religious laws. No. He created us to be free, and he asks us to be mature and responsible persons in life and society." First of all, that church needs to lead by a little bit of example on that front. That responsible life and society. Anyway, but also, he says God does not want to make decisions for us exercised in a world governed by religious laws.
Yeah, that's cool. That's shut up, Pope.
Well, no,
that's
he's
clearly-
saying
That's
he's
clearly
saying he thinks that the world shouldn't be governed by religious law.
I know. And so shut up, because we have like a Catholic Supreme Court
Right.
that is like shoving its Catholicism down everybody's throat right now.
Well, what I'm saying is they should be listening to their own Pope, who says that
Yeah.
we're not governed by religious laws.
Yeah. But he applauded the Supreme Court's decision.
Yeah. Well,
So shut up, Pope.
Yes.
That's what I'm getting to.
Sure.
They're perfectly happy when it's something like, abortion or, to be honest, anything based in Catholicism.
Right.
Right. They don't, it's like every group. They don't see how the laws that sort of are based in their faith tradition and that oppress everybody else, right? How those are wrong. They only see the ones that are that they don't agree with, that are from other traditions, that are from that would oppress them.
Right.
Right. Like, yeah. So shut up, Pope.
Well,
Yeah, I don't buy it.
But also, hey, rest of the Catholic world, the Pope says that the laws of the world should not be religious. That's what the Pope says. So
Yeah.
how about y'all listen to that, you fucking dicks?
Because they all know which ones are he's really talking about.
Yeah, okay. Fair
Anyway.
enough.
All right. Dan,
What?
sometimes things just go the way that they go a way that you would support in like real life. If you were asked, hey, do you want this horrible thing to happen? You would say, no, of course not. But when they do happen, there's some enjoyment sometimes,
Okay.
right? You didn't
All right.
support it. You didn't vote for it, but it happened. So you might as well enjoy. Lamore Whitehead, Bishop of the Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministry in Brooklyn, New York, was robbed at gunpoint on live stream during his preaching over
my.
the pulpit at a church service on Sunday.
Wow, that is a bold time to commit a robbery.
And the masked robbers walk right in front of and look directly into the camera at one point.
Do they wave? I want them to wave.
Apparently, though, and this is why this is important, because that in and of itself, like why would they go to a church to rob? Well, because Whitehead and his wife together were wearing more than $1 million worth of jewelry.
Oh,
And
that's not a small robbery.
that
then
is not a small robbery.
they like their bling.
They really like their bling. To which, after hearing accusations of having scammed churchgoers out of money so that he could buy riches of this world, he says, it's not about me being flashy.
Okay, wait, good. I'm glad it's not about that. I'm sure that what follows will explain everything.
It's about me purchasing what I want to purchase. Y'all not gonna tear me down by your childish thoughts. I'm gonna stay focused. That's what he says.
Okay, wait. It's not about being flashy. It's about I like flashy
just
things.
Bling, bling, bling. Yeah.
And I'm allowed to have them because I don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be interesting. Who owned the jewelry? Was he wearing the church's jewelry?
That's a good point.
Anyway, what it says to me is he's bringing in plenty of money, preaching at whatever this church is and streaming it online.
Oh my God.
If he can afford millions of dollars worth of just jewelry,
Yeah.
ain't that nice?
Yeah.
That's lovely.
It's that's a cute position to be in. When you're, oh my God. It's upsetting to me that, these pastors make so much money. Have you seen the thing about the pastor sneaker wars?
Oh, fuck them. Yeah.
These pastors, a lot of pastors aren't quite as flashy as $1 million worth of jewelry, but they're wearing like Balenciaga sneakers that are $1,400 per pair.
That's just absurd.
It's just, and also they're ugly as sin, but like that is just, it's, I don't know how, whoever came up with the prosperity gospel idea, the doctrine that like literally you're following a book that says it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven. And somehow they've managed to convince you that the richer you are, the more godly you are. It's a pretty impressive pivot.
But Dan, this is nothing new, right? Like how could Catholic priests in some of the poorest parts of the world, right, get up bedazzled in whatever, right, and in ornate cathedrals with gold, laden this and that, and how could they get up in front of the poor at any or poor people at any point in through history, right? And communicate the same message about Jesus and whatever's in the Bible. Like it's, I think there's something inherent, that's something weird in the mind of a believer.
Yeah.
It's not, prosperity gospel just takes it to a new disgusting extreme, right? And is so overt about it. But there's something sick in the human psyche that wants to see our leaders showing shit off.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's the rise of Donald Trump, right?
Yeah.
A person who should never have been able to be in politics, but there you go. Money makes good.
You
All
gild
right.
enough things in your life. And maybe that's where we're going wrong, Dan.
You know what? Go out and rob a pastor, will you, kids?
Dan.
I know I'm not supposed to say it. I know.
And he's not really saying it.
This is a parody podcast, and all the things that we say are jokes. But go rob a pastor. Fucking take their shit. It's good. It's a good thing. All right. So I'm gonna close us out in Seattle. I think we've talked about this story a little bit, but there's an update. The Seattle Pacific University is associated with the Free Methodist Church. I don't know anything about Free Methodists versus expensive Methodists, but there they are. It's a Christian university apparently, but last year they really pissed off their student body because even the Christians in Seattle are pretty fucking liberal. And they had an issue where they canned one of their professors, I think it was a nursing professor, because he was gay. And they have a whole expectation that their professors have to be not gay. So then there was a huge kerfuffle, and the students started protesting, big protest. They did a sit-in for like months. They just kept doing the sit-in. And they were taking it seriously. And you know, there was a call for the board to, it was a whole thing. And the university quadrupled down. They just literally dug their heels in. And then the state decided to step in and investigate. So the Washington State Attorney General, a guy by the name of Bob Ferguson, has launched an official investigation into the school's hiring practices. Now, I don't know what the Washington state law is, and I don't know if there is anything specific to their constitution about it or whatever, but they just launched an investigation. But this was enough for the university to sue the state because in investigating them, they're trying to, quote, influence the university in its application and understanding of church teaching.
Oh,
They're claiming that the state is trying to force them to like gay people and not be jerks. So
okay,
there you go. The lawsuits are flying now.
This is exciting.
It is exciting.
Wow.
I'm actually surprised at these students getting so livid about it. You know, you go to a Christian university, right? Do you know where you're going to school?
Yeah, you did sign up for this.
Yeah, it just seems weird. And it also seems weird to me that any gay person would want to work there, considering who they are.
Humans are complicated, Dan.
We're
We're not so cut and dry, and it's not easy to figure out. Like, there's so many situations of people choosing to be in these like religious settings as non-believers or as gay people, and it's a conservative thing. Like, I don't get people. Because
Yeah.
I personally, I could never stomach it. Like the moment, the semester that I came out as gay and accepted that I didn't believe in God, I was out of BYU.
Yeah.
I wanted nothing to do with that place anymore.
That makes sense to me. I don't know.
But
I don't know
other
why
people,
you'd want it.
they stay there. It's what they know. It's their life. And yeah. And so they're fighting from within, and good for them, you know, in some way. Right. Like, anyway.
Oh, well, listen, if you have any insight as to why you would belong to a club that doesn't want you for a member, please feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. We got more show coming up.
All right. Well, we're going to hear now from a guy named Mark Driscoll. We haven't heard from him for a while.
Yeah, no. Huh.
He was a big dude at Mars Hill Church, and then a whole bunch of controversies started swirling around him. My favorite of the Driscoll controversies was that he paid $25,000 to a marketing firm, which then somehow manipulated sales numbers and like artificially got him to number 1 on the New York Times bestseller list. I think that's delightful. I think that's really funny that he's that kind of a liar. I mean, I don't blame him. You want to be on the list, and how great to be number 1, but
You're gonna sell a lot more books if you are.
yeah. But it was all a trick. Don't believe the world. Anyway, he's apparently talking again. I don't know who's allowing it. And
The
he's
internet.
got some stuff to say about one of the biggest religions in the world. You may be surprised to learn what it is.
Oh, okay.
The biggest religion, not only in America, but the world, it's not Christianity, it's sex. And LGBTQIA are all denominations within the religion of sex. And just as Christianity has evangelists trying to convert people to their way of life, so the religion of sex also has evangelists. In addition, churches have kids ministry, and now the religion of sex has decided to get into kids ministry as well. And since many or most of them cannot have their own children, they're looking to enter the schools with their curriculum and their drag queen story hour and evangelize and disciple your own children.
The religion of sex, Dan.
It's the religion of sex.
Wow.
It's bigger than Christianity.
Wow. And I belong to one of the denominations. I didn't even know that.
Oh.
I mean, I knew that I was gay, but like,
But you didn't know.
I didn't know.
that you have you paid your tithing to the religion of LGBTQIA. I wonder what he thinks those letters stand for. It's so weird to me that we let these people get away with like calling all of these things about sex. Because look, gayness, even homosexuality, gayness is not about sex. Sex is
No.
involved. Like it determines
it's defined.
to whom one is sexually attracted,
Yeah. And that's it.
but that's not about sex.
No.
Like presumably Mark Driscoll, you are also sexually attracted to people.
Mm.
They are different people, but that doesn't mean that you're preaching sex by saying I'm straight. It's just so weird. Like most of those letters in the LGBTQIA thing, they're not about sex.
No.
Trans people, being trans is nothing to do with sex.
Nothing. Yeah.
Just so weird. Don't let people get away with that. When you're in conversation with them, if anybody says something like this is all part of this whole like really disgusting thing that's happening right now, where the right is trying to convince people that that anyone who says it's okay to be gay, or says be kind to gay people, or says be kind to trans people, or anything like that, any kind of acceptance of any LGBTQIA plus group or people or humans, is grooming children. They have co-opted the word grooming because let's be clear, it's the religious class of people that are the big groomers. Like, if you want to see, the biggest grooming cabals, the sex trafficking cabals, it's the Catholic Church. It's the churches that are the ones.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, so they've co-opted the word grooming. Don't let them get away with it. If you see that, and so they're literally like trying to scare people into thinking that the agenda is to turn the kids gay, is to they've got the conspiracy theory goes so far, so deep. It's gross.
Yeah. I mean, they have to have their side. Like, the only thing that's going to work now is deep fear in order to keep their side in line, right? Because they see the trends. I mean, we've already talked about it on this episode of like the vast majority of Americans now approve of gay marriage.
Yeah.
So there's probably a larger number of people who at least are like, oh, I like gay people, right?
Yeah.
Like, so they've lost, and they're continuing to lose on this issue,
right?
And it gets worse for them every year. And so the only thing they've got is fear, and so it has to be they're coming for your children. Right.
Yeah,
that's all they've got.
Yeah,
and the fact of the matter is, there's a large percentage of the people that they're saying this to that don't buy it, right? Or that when their kid does come out as gay, a light bulb goes on in their head, or when their nephew comes out as gay, a light bulb goes on in their head. And they're like, oh shit, it's not what the Driscolls of the world, had told me.
You want to know the real truth of the matter.
I want them to double down on this because it just makes them more and more fucking fringe and stupid sounding.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's really fun is that while it's not true that the gays are coming for your children, it is true that your children are coming for you Republicans about this. Like, the youngins are not okay with this way of thinking, and they don't take it lying down.
Yeah,
they come with guns ablazing. So the children are coming for your pastors. Everybody, be careful. All right. Well, we had a little bit of correspondence, some emails, some voicemails. So I'm going to launch into that. This was unsigned, but it says, "Dear Frank and Dan, I'm a rather new listener to Thank God I'm Atheist.
Welcome.
With a concerning matter in my marriage, and I hope you can give me some advice on how to handle this."
Oh boy.
I will just point out that we are in no way qualified to give any kind of advice, so we will gladly try. My husband was raised by an atheist and a Jehovah's Witness. He never followed his mom's religion and left the witnesses on the first occasion when he was 15. After our marriage, he revealed to me that he is agnostic ever since, and until today refuses to deny the existence of a divine power out of sheer fear of punishment. Generally, his agnosticism has had little effect on our lives. He did and does things that would get him into hell into the hell of each religion: eating pork, eating beef, premarital sex, not praying, as far as I know. But knowing that the man beside me refers to a non-specific imaginary friend over science and hopes to see me again in the afterlife does more than bug me. I can ignore this in a friend, but not in someone that I share my entire life with. I use all my reason to try and make him let go of this childish behavior, but the issue is an emotional one, and his doubt and fear are rooted way too strongly. I really don't know how to further address this topic, as every mention of his belief ends up in a fight. I would be grateful if you guys have any argument that I could try, or any suggestions on how I could make myself less irritated by this. And it's signed many greetings from beautiful Germany. So hello in Deutschland. I think, I don't know. What are your thoughts, Frank?
Well, I mean, the first thing that jumps to my mind is that this emailer is obviously deeply, cares for and loves this person, right?
Yeah.
And is concerned about this thing that would bug me too, right? I mean, I have to say that an important part of a relationship for me is a meeting of the minds, right? That we have a similar outlook on the world, and that we share a lot of those things, because it just means that when I'm talking about something, I feel like I'm being heard, and because I know that my partner has a similar outlook on things, and that he can understand what I'm fully talking about and what my concerns would be. So that is something that is important to me. Now, if all of a sudden he came to me and, said, hey, my views have changed or whatever, like we have a strong relationship. We have, we've got a great relationship, and I would never want to just throw it away because something had changed or there was this thing, but it would obviously change the nature of sort of that part of our relationship.
Sure.
Right? That connection. And it would have to be revisited. But I couldn't, walk away. So what's the trick there? I don't know.
Here's what I hear when I listen to this. I don't hear my partner believes in something and they are requiring that belief of me.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think our writer, our listener kind of is requiring a belief of their partner. And I don't know that that's fair. I think I hear the concern, and I think you're absolutely right, Frank, that like, it's one of those things where you want to have a meeting of the minds, but maybe you can focus on the places where you do meet, because it sounds like almost all the things you agree on.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, and this person is, your husband is just holding on to one little amorphous sort of thing, not demanding anything of you, not asking you to choose to believe either as well, just asking for a little acceptance of something that that either is too scary for him to let go of, or gives him some sort of comfort or something. I think you can be okay with that. There are people who are in mixed religion marriages that do okay, where they believe totally different things. There are atheists who are married to believers, full on religious believers, and they focus on the things that they love about each other.
Yeah.
And not on their differences.
Here's something though that I think a lot of atheists fall into, which is we don't have a lot of respect for belief. Right. Or for the kind of mindset that agnostics have. Right. And we don't have respect for it. Right. Like you meet somebody and they say they believe in God. It's like, well, you're cuckoo bananas. Right.
Right.
Like, I don't even want to give you the time of day. And if I don't know, I don't know about the emailer. Right. And what their, how they sort of respond in those, what their worldview is on that. But like that's why it would be hard, I think, for me. That would be something that I'd really fucking wrestle with, is like, well, what just broke in your brain? right? Like,
Yeah.
like why, like, who are you? Like, this is not like, what else is crazy and weird in there when everything else is crazy and weird because we're human beings, right?
Yeah, I think that's the point though, Frank, is that we are human beings. We are just deeply prone to, logical fallacies and bad thinking and we're also like emotional creatures, and we are driven, and not everyone can easily just let go of things that have emotional triggers in them. And if it's not actually hurting anything, meaning they're not acting on it, they're not going out and campaigning against gay people or trying to stop abortions, or, if they're being good, genuinely good people, and they're just holding on to this last vestige of a thing that is just too scary for them to sort out, I think we can have empathy for that. I know how much of an idiot I have been about plenty of stuff in my life. Like just a royal ding dong about so many things in my life that I can have empathy for someone who is still a good person out there believing, doing good works, and then just has this one sort of holdout thing that they just can't quite let go of. I would say if they're a good person, just love and just be fine. And it really is okay.
All right.
That's where I would land. And again, we know nothing. So take that with whatever grain of salt you need to. We have a voicemail, do we not?
We do indeed. This is Donnie from Mount Shasta.
Oh, Donnie, our friend of the show, Donnie.
And
who we were lucky enough to actually meet in person at the conference that we just were at.
That's true. It was
that
great
was
to
lovely.
meet him.
Let's see what Donnie has to say.
Hey guys, it's Donnie, Mount Shasta, California. Anyway, so I realized I had missed an episode, so I was reading. I was listening to episode 548, and I was amused when Dan was talking about how the Jehovah's Witnesses now send letters rather than going door to door because of COVID. Well, ever since the middle of COVID, they keep putting all their pamphlets all over our message board at the base of the trails that we run as the Mount Shasta Trail Association. And the chairperson wanted to put not a community board sign so that they'd stop doing it. But I didn't want to do that. So instead, because people put cat missing or their missing dog posts on there, and I want them to be able to continue doing that. So what I've been doing is I just take all of the Jehovah's Witness pamphlets and I just toss them in the trunk of my car. And throughout the summer, I get a fairly sizable pile that I leave in my garage. And I have 4 friends with wood-burning stoves, and they're always complaining about how wood isn't the problem, but because they don't get newspapers anymore, they never have fire starters. So I just tie these little bundles of Jehovah's Witness pamphlets up and drop them off at their houses when the first snow flies. And I know it's petty, but it gives me a delightful little sense of glee that they are all being burned to start fires for atheists. And I think it just makes me feel wonderful. Anyway, I just thought that was a little funny anecdote. Love what you guys do, and have a great day.
It is an offering unto the Lord. I think that is the absolutely right method of disposing of their bullshit.
Yeah. And they're giving it away freely.
Yeah. They're not saying, please don't take this unless you're going to read it and believe it. They're just saying, here are these. So
they print so many of those goddamn things.
Use them. You should do a picture of like a little photo essay of what you're doing with them and post that up there. Hey, look, all of these are just getting burned. Do you guys like that? Do you want to keep leaving them? This is what we're doing with them. Thanks. Appreciate ya.
Thanks for the kindling.
Although I gotta say, Donnie, I'm a little concerned that you're keeping kindling in your garage. It does feel.
Oh,
just be very careful that it doesn't catch on fire. because honestly, if the J-Dubs hear about that, they will never stop crowing about the righteous retribution of Jesus. So can't let that happen. Anyway, Kaya wrote into us saying, "Hey, Frank, Dan, and assorted co-hosts. None of them are here right now, but thank you for including them.
They're all here. They're just being very quiet.
Oh, they're all in the room, obviously,
ready to jump in at a moment's notice.
And we'll tag team them if we need to. In episode 555, Dan mentioned that in the newly found photograph, Joseph Smith's eyes had a piercing effect. Most early black and white cameras could not process the color blue into a shade of gray, so light eyes often appeared very white. His eyes probably weren't quite so starkly pale in real life. That's not to say he wasn't creepy, of course. Just wanted to share a little tidbit that I happen to know. So there you go. Thank you, Kaya, for that. That's a fun little tidbit. The daguerreotypes. Did you know, Frank? Somebody told me this a while. Actually, Kate, our sometime co-host, told me, and I didn't believe her. I had to look it up for myself. Turns out to be true. Blue eyes are not pigmented blue.
I've heard something weird about it. I didn't know exactly what
they are. Structurally blue, not blue pigment.
Well, how is something structurally blue?
It's to do with the same way that the sky seems blue, but it ain't. Like the air isn't actually blue. I don't know how it works. It seems like magic to me. I don't like it at all. But apparently that's a thing.
Well, it makes sense about the film, though. So
yes, indeed. So here's the thing, folks. I just wanted to say that times are tough. Everything is very expensive right now in America, in the Americas, and in lots of parts of the world. Apparently, Biden has caused inflation everywhere. I'm not sure how he did it, but he's caused inflation all over the world. So I understand if giving to us seems low on your priority list, but I did want to say that if you do appreciate what we do, and you have some disposable income, you're not as worried about it as some, you can feel free to give it to us. We appreciate it. It's what keeps us going. And the way that you would do that is to go to thankgodimatheist.com and click on the support tab, and then we'll be very, very, very grateful, and you'll feel super good about your own self.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that you can do. If you can't, we totally understand. We're not mad at you. You're still our friend.
Just go give us a 5-star rating instead.
Yeah,
we would appreciate it.
Or go into one of your online, your Facebook groups or whatever, and just say, hey, by the way, do you guys listen to Thank God I'm Atheist? Because I think they're fantastic.
Yeah. And you should too.
All of you Richie Riches, give us your damn money. Speaking of whom, we need to thank one person.
Dan, our top donor, our Lord and Savior, Davis. Stick around, there's more show coming up.
All right, Frank. Here's
Dan.
the story. There was an accident on Facebook. In my Facebook,
Really?
I'm old. I still do Facebook. I actually am the last human being who actually likes Facebook.
Everybody else just does it. Does it begrudgingly.
I don't know why you're all on it, but I actually really enjoy it. I like the members only lounges. I like the fact that I'm keeping in touch with my friends all over the world. Anywho, one of the Facebook just started popping up suggestions for groups that it thinks I might want to be in.
Oh, really?
On my Facebook feed. And I don't like to join groups that I don't know why I'm joining that group. Like if I don't have a specific reason to go seek out a group, I don't just join groups.
Sure.
So I went through and I was like clicking remove or whatever, like don't do, at least I'm looking at the group's suggestions and they are way off. I don't know how they targeted me, but the algorithm does not have a good line on who I am and what I would be interested in. So I started to click like remove so that it will at least not show me the most egregiously right-wing bullshit groups in the world. But on one of them, my thumb slipped and I accidentally hit join. And this was the
I'm sure
Jordan Peterson Biblical Studies discussion group.
Oh, okay.
It is everything I'm not. It is everything that I don't want to be a part of. But I accidentally hit join, and immediately up pops these 3 questions, because, you know, groups on Facebook, if you want to join groups, they often make you answer some questions just to prove that you belong in that group and that you know, you're not just joining, you know, bots try to join groups and all this sort of thing. So I thought, okay, you know what would be funny is if I just tried to answer these questions honestly, being a little bit cagey, but honest. And the first question was like, how did you hear about Jordan Peterson? Which felt a little gatekeepy. Like, how did you know about this guy? How do you know about Jordan Peterson? And my answer was something along the lines of like, I don't know. He won't stop talking about things on the internet. Something like that. Anyway, I was honest, but like, I didn't say, I think Jordan Peterson's a big fat idiot, or I didn't say like it asked me, do you study the Bible regularly? And I was like, or have you ever studied the Bible? And I was like, yeah, unfortunately, I've done a lot of that. Anyway, they let me in. They shouldn't have done. I thought I was being pretty clear that I shouldn't be a member of this group, but they let me in. And ever since, this was only a few days ago, but I have been subversively commenting on things. And the thing is, I know how a lot of atheists comment on believers' stuff, and I don't like it. I don't think it's effective. It's just not me. Right. I don't want to come in and just tell people they're idiots or be snarky when I think it's far more fun to just gently poke at the things that they think they know and just point out problems with it. So for instance,
yeah, I need some examples.
One person wrote, there's one person wrote about the book of Genesis and mentions of God creating man and whatever. And then somebody was like, one guy comments that there's no contradictions in the Bible, especially not in Genesis.
What?
So I was like, au contraire. This one's easy. And I was just like, I don't know how you can say that when the first 2 books of Genesis completely contradict each other multiple times. The timelines don't match up. The blah, blah, blah. And I didn't. And then he was like, well, where are these contradictions? Let's look at them. And I was like, look, I don't trust you. I'm not going to put in a whole bunch of work writing out, where the contradictions are, because you're just going to come back. Because I've done this before and the internet is shitty and everybody just comes back and says, and, doesn't argue in good faith and whatever. And then he was like, how dare you? Of course I would argue in good faith. Anyway, so I point out.
It is a little, how dare you, Dan? You were kind of.
I know.
Shitting on his question a little,
Yeah.
Or shitting on him.
Well, I don't trust people. That's the thing, is that, like, obviously people on the internet, especially biblical believers.
Yeah.
They're not arguing in good faith. They ask, and this is the whole, the whole right-wing guy thing of like, I'm being very calm and asking very good questions. And then they double talk and they don't actually answer any of they just railroad the conversation. And then when you get mad at them, they're like, I don't know why you're being all upset. I'm very calm. And it's just the worst thing in the world.
I love that this is coming from the guy who just 5 minutes ago was saying, I love Facebook.
Yeah. Well, this isn't just
Because-
Facebook. We're talking. I don't
Because-
engage with these people, generally speaking.
Okay. All right. Okay. Because
I'm
this
just-
is why
I
I'm
just-
not on Facebook.
I
and have
accidentally
pretty
am in a
much
group that I did not mean to be
eliminated
in.
social media from my life. So
I'm making the most of a group of being in a group that I
sure.
accidentally
No,
got.
it's a great experience. It's just sorry.
Yeah.
It's just a little
Anyway,
funny
I
to me.
point out a few things. The fact is that, and I accused him of seeing the world through inerrancy colored glasses, which I thought was a great line.
Damn.
The point here is that there was another thread where somebody was like, and the thing is, what's funny is that there's something about Jordan Peterson's followers.
Hmm.
Because Jordan Peterson, for those of you who don't know who he is, and God bless you, please continue not knowing who he is. Don't let this actually spark any interest in him, because he's just a douchebag. He's a dipshit of the Royal Order. He's a Canadian. He was a professor of philosophy ? Psychology ? I'm not really sure. But he's mostly just a right-wing ding-dong now. And he pushes Jesus stuff. But his word salad and a lot of his arguments are nonsensical on their face, but like it does encourage people to question things. Like people in this group are particularly interesting because they're questioning things that you wouldn't think Christians would be questioning. So one person posted a whole thing about how she didn't think, and there's so many women. You guys, why are women following Jordan Peterson? He's such a misogynist. Anyway, she posted a thing about how she liked the Gospels and was all in on the Gospels because, they were actually there and they actually met Jesus, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't like Paul in the New Testament. And the Pauline epistles were she was really struggling with them. And she had come to this apparently just from reading it, which I agree with. Paul is a fucking dick. And and basically just claims to have met Jesus after he died. He claims to have magically met him. And suddenly he's the authority on Jesus. And so I totally agree with that. But then I did have to step in and be like, but by the way, that all biblical scholars basically believe that the Gospels were not written by the apostles that have their names, right? You know that, don't you?
Oh,
It's
damn.
just these little needles that you can
planting
get
little
in
seeds.
that I appreciate. It's just, and what's nice is that I can always point to biblical scholarship that will sort of tell her where to find that stuff. Like I can come with receipts on this.
Right.
So I find that so much more satisfying than going in and saying, you're all idiots. You guys, God doesn't even exist, you morons. Why would you care about any of this stuff? It's just, it's the little seeds that you plant that I'm really enjoying.
Good for you, Dan. You're being a little atheist missionary.
I guess so.
You didn't do
I
a
don't
Mormon
know.
mission, so go out there, plant
Here's
some
the thing.
seeds.
I don't actually believe I'm going to make a dent. Like most of these people are pretty well armored against anything you could possibly say. So, when I went up against this guy about the conflicts between Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, he just dodged in the dumbest way possible. And when I pointed out his dodge, he got hung up on some small pedantic issue and very purposefully missed my point entirely. And that's what the bulk of it's going to be. The bulk of it is, I'm not going to actually address any of the reality of this because it makes me too uncomfortable and I can't actually deal with it.
All right. But see, the fact of the matter, though, Dan, is that deconversion in the moment doesn't really happen.
Right.
It's that that somebody gets a little thing that just sits there and just needles
Yeah.
at the back of their brain for a few years, right?
Right.
And and it's not like it's always there, but when that topic comes up again, or when somebody else says a similar line with such confidence or whatnot, it reminds them, and it just sits there, and it slowly has the potential to erode away at their faith and maybe create some more questions.
And even if it's not that person that I'm like in the argument with, someone else might be reading it and
That's
go,
true. Yeah.
that can't be right. Let me look that up.
That's exactly true. Yeah.
And then they go, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that wait a minute that I think we should be shooting for. I love it.
This is people doing their homework, but on a in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
Like, because there's something that and I'm referencing sort of the QAnon followers of yore, who were given their little seeds, or what they call them, and they would have to go and they'd have to pick up the what did
Q
they call
drops
it?
or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it was. And then they'd have to go do their homework and blah, blah, blah. But it was in the discovery that wasn't real. They were just following like a laid out path. They didn't know that that's how it was set up. Right.
Right.
And then, but because they're making their own discovery along the way. So like, you're totally right. Like if somebody reads this, it's more likely not the person that you're confronting that you're benefiting. It's more likely the person who comes along, reads it, and goes, exactly what you said. No, right?
Yeah.
And looks it up for themselves and has to wrestle with it on their own because they discovered it. Like, it's kind of insidious, Dan. Like, there should be more of that online.
I kind of like it. I'll
You
tell
should
you
get
this, though.
a team of people and train them, Dan,
we
on
should.
how to do this, and like go out and just be so subtle and so just dropping little breadcrumbs.
Yeah, and you don't
here
have,
and there.
and don't lie.
No,
Just all you're doing is just telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And just saying, if God did it this way, then this thing doesn't make sense. How does that work?
Right.
Question.
Right.
And then they just go, well, it must just work.
Right.
Yeah, but how?
Yeah. And
Just keep asking some questions.
Sit there. Just let it sit.
Just hang it out there and see what happens.
That would be far more effective than trying to like directly go after people.
Well, yeah, because I mean, one of the things that doesn't work, in general, I mean, every now and then you'll hear somebody who's like, well, somebody humiliated me in front of a bunch of people, and that's what changed my mind. But in general, humiliation and shame don't change minds.
Right.
That's it. It's the worst way you could go about it.
People just dig in.
And even if it does change their mind, they're going to feel resentful. They're going to feel like shit. And I don't want anybody to feel bad. I just want them to change their mind. So, I'm enjoying this approach. I'm probably going to get kicked out at some point.
Then go find another
really
group
trying to
after that.
stay. I'm trying to keep my comments so that you can't tell what my position is at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm trying, but also I had to go through and like I went through the last several of my posts on Facebook and made anything that like might reveal my position on those posts. I had to go back and make them private just so that because I realized, oh shit, they're going to like click on my name and figure out and research me. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see. Just out there having some fun. I encourage you guys to have similar fun if you want to. It can't hurt. It might hurt a bit. Reading some of the bullshit that these people write is astounding. But if you're of the kind of temperament that could enjoy this kind of stuff, that's the tack I choose to take. I highly recommend it. It's fun.
Awesome.
Well, if you've done this and you want to tell us what your method is, please feel free to write into us. Podcast@thankgodimatheist.com is the email address.
or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Hey, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist. I know you're all still on there. Click the like button.
And if you'd like to join one of our members only lounges, you can go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/members only.
Yeah. Thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thank you to all of y'all for tuning in. We sure do appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.